My girlfriend cheated on me with her roommate, the woman she swore was basically her sister. Then I woke up in another man's bed wearing his grandmother's ring on my finger. That sounds worse than it was. Actually, no. It sounds strange. What was worse was the 2 years before it. I had been dating Maya Ellis for 2 years, and everyone in my life kept telling me the same thing in different ways. My coworkers said I looked tired. My mother asked if Maya ever made me feel chosen. My best friend Owen Sinclair never said anything that direct. He would just show up with coffee after Maya forgot me somewhere and ask, "You okay?" And every time, I told him I was fine. Because when you love someone who keeps moving the line, you start mistaking exhaustion for loyalty. Maya sang in a cover band downtown. She had a roommate named Sloane Carter. Sloane was not basically her sister. I know that now. I should have known it long before I walked into that green room and saw Maya's hands tangled in Sloane's hair. Maya and I had been together for 2 years. 2 years is long enough for bad treatment to start feeling like weather. You stop asking why it keeps raining. You just start carrying an umbrella. When we first met, she was magnetic in the way performers can be magnetic when they decide to aim all that attention at one person. She sang lead in a cover band that played downtown bars on weekends, and when she looked at me from the stage the first night, I felt like the room had been given to me for 3 minutes. That was the version of Maya I kept trying to get back to. The one who made me feel chosen. The one who stayed up until 2 a.m. asking about my job, my family, the scar on my left hand, the kind of future I wanted. Later, when she forgot plans or canceled dates or made me feel like a guest in my own relationship, I blamed stress. I blamed gigs. I blamed myself. Everyone else saw it earlier. My coworkers noticed I stopped talking about weekends. My mother asked if Maya ever showed up for me the way I showed up for her. Owen never pushed. He only said, "You don't have to prove you're easy to love." I laughed when he said it. Like it was a joke. Because if I had taken it seriously, I would have had to admit something I was not ready to know. Sloane lived with Maya the entire time we dated. Technically, she was the roommate. That was the word Maya used whenever I questioned anything. "She's my roommate, Ethan." Then, if I still looked uncomfortable, she would add the line that ended every conversation. "She's basically my sister." But sisters do not walk around the apartment in a towel and make eye contact with your boyfriend while reaching past him for coffee. Sisters do not cook breakfast in underwear while your girlfriend laughs like the discomfort is some private joke you are too uptight to understand. Sisters do not curl up with their head in your girlfriend's lap during movie night while you sit 2 feet away holding a bowl of popcorn you suddenly do not want. The first time I said something, Maya rolled her eyes. "Please don't make this weird." "I'm not making it weird," I said. "It already feels weird." That was the wrong answer. Maya got quiet in that dangerous way people get when they are about to make you apologize for noticing what they did. "She has trauma around men," Maya said. "You being jealous of her is honestly kind of gross." Jealous. Controlling. Insecure. Those words became tools she kept on the counter and picked up whenever I got too close to the truth. So I backed off. Not because I believed her. Because I wanted to believe I was better than suspicion. It did not stop at the apartment. If Sloane had a bad day at work, Maya canceled dinner. If Sloane was upset about an ex, Maya left my place at midnight. If Sloane felt anxious before a gig, Maya spent the whole night texting her from across the table while I sat there pretending not to watch my own relationship happen somewhere else. The worst one was my promotion. I had been working toward it for 11 months. Commercial risk analyst to senior analyst. Nothing glamorous, but it mattered to me. I called Maya first. She did not answer. For hours later, she texted, "Sorry, Sloane got a parking ticket and had a panic spiral. Can we celebrate tomorrow?" Tomorrow turned into rehearsal. Rehearsal turned into Sloane needing help with something. By the weekend, Maya acted annoyed that I still cared. "You know how much she depends on me," she said. I remember standing in my kitchen with a bottle of champagne I had bought for myself, feeling embarrassed for expecting my girlfriend to be happy for me. That is what manipulation does when it works. It makes your normal needs feel like demands. Owen Sinclair was the person who kept finding me in the gaps Maya left behind. He owned a small landscaping company called Sinclair Grounds and Stone, which meant his days started before sunrise and ended with dirt on his boots and invoices in his truck console. Still, somehow he showed up. When Maya forgot to pick me up from the airport because Sloane wanted to go look at thrift stores, Owen came with coffee and said, "Long flight." When Maya ditched me at her own show because Sloane felt sick and needed to sit in the van, Owen found me outside the venue and handed me a bottle of water. When my car battery died and Maya said she could not leave rehearsal, Owen arrived with jumper cables in 15 minutes. He never said, "She should have been here." He never said, "You deserve better." That would have made me defend her. Owen was smarter than that. He would just lean against his truck, look at me with those steady gray eyes, and ask, "You okay?" And I would lie. Every time. "Yeah, I'd say, I'm good." Owen never believed me. But he never made me feel stupid for not being ready to tell the truth. Maya noticed Owen before she noticed what she was doing to me. That was another thing I should have paid attention to. The first time I mentioned he had driven me home from a show she abandoned me at, her face changed. Not guilty. Suspicious. "Owen again," she said. "He was there," I said. "You left with Sloane." "Sloane was sick." "I know." Maya crossed her arms. Guys like Owen don't just help for no reason. I almost laughed because Owen was the least performative person I knew. "He's my friend." "No," she said. "He wants to sleep with you." The sentence landed strange. Not because it was impossible. Because it felt like she was trying to turn kindness into evidence of something dirty. After that, any time Owen's name came up, Maya found a way to punish it. If he brought me coffee, she called it pathetic. If he helped with my car, she said I liked being rescued. If he asked if I was okay, she said I was emotionally cheating. So I stopped mentioning him. Not because I thought Maya was right. Because I was tired. And because somewhere along the way, I had learned to hide the people who treated me well from the person who was supposed to. Last Friday was supposed to be Maya's biggest show yet. Not a bar with sticky floors and 12 people pretending to listen while waiting for karaoke to start. A real downtown venue. Paid door. Promotion posters. A sound guy with his own headset. The kind of night Maya had talked about for months, like it might become the beginning of something larger. I bought a new shirt after work. Dark green. Button down. The kind of shirt that says a man is trying without looking like he spent too long trying. I invited 3 friends from the office because I wanted the room to feel full for her. Because even after everything, some loyal part of me still wanted to be the boyfriend who showed up. Maya texted me at 5:18. "Sloane's coming too. She's basically managing us tonight, LOL." I stared at the message longer than I should have. Unofficial manager. That was new. Or maybe it was not new. Maybe I had just finally reached the point where every excuse started showing its real shape. I got to the venue early anyway. Maya's car was already in the lot. So was Sloane's. I should have stayed in the crowd. That is the thought I still have sometimes. Not because the truth would have changed if I had avoided it. Because there is a particular kind of pain in seeing something clearly after spending 2 years begging your own mind to blur it. I went backstage to wish Maya luck. The hallway smelled like stale beer, hairspray, and electrical heat from the stage lights. Someone had taped a paper sign to the green room door with the band's name written in black marker. I knocked once. No answer. The music from the opener was loud enough that I figured she could not hear me. So I opened the door. Maya was on the couch. Sloane was pressed against her, one knee between Maya's legs, both of them half-dressed. Maya's hands were in Sloane's hair. Sloane's mouth was at her neck. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Maya shoved Sloane back like distance could rewrite what I had already seen. "Ethan," she said, "it's not what it looks like." Sloane smiled. Not embarrassed. Not sorry. Victorious. "Oh, come on," she said. "He's not that stupid." Maya shot her a look. Then turned back to me. She was helping me relax before the set. I looked at her shirt half-buttoned in Sloane's hand. I looked at Sloane's lipstick on Maya's throat. And for the first time in 2 years, I did not ask myself if I was overreacting. I just left. I walked straight out of the venue and crossed the street without looking back. There was a bar on the corner with a neon sign buzzing in the window and a bartender who took one look at my face and did not ask what I wanted. "Whiskey," I said. He poured it. I drank it too fast. Then I ordered another. I remember the first one burned. The second one did not. That should have warned me. My phone kept lighting up on the bar beside my hand. Maya. Maya again. Then the group chat. She had already gotten there before me. Ethan freaked out backstage and stormed off for no reason. For no reason. I stared at those 3 words until they stopped looking like language. That was what 2 years had been, I realized. Not betrayal followed by lies. Lies prepared in advance so betrayal could survive. I ordered another drink. Then another. By the time Owen found me, I was sitting in the back booth with my elbows on the table, crying in the ugly, exhausted way men cry when they have spent too long trying not to. He slid into the seat across from me. No judgment. No speech. Just Owen, breathing like he had run 3 blocks. "Maya texted everyone," he said. I didn't believe her. That broke something in me all over again. Because one person not believing her felt better than the whole room ever had. I do not remember everything after Owen sat down. I remember pieces. His hand covering my phone when I tried to call Maya. "Not tonight," he said. "I need to hear her say it." "No," he said quietly. "You need to survive tonight without letting her make it worse." I hated that he was right. I remember telling him he had known all along. He did not deny it. He just looked down at the table and said, "I didn't know how to tell you without sounding like I wanted you to choose me instead." That sentence should have meant more to me. I was too drunk to understand it properly. I remember standing up too fast. The room tilted. Owen caught my elbow before I hit the edge of the table. Outside, I got sick beside his truck in the parking lot while he held one hand between my shoulders and kept saying, "Breathe, Ethan. Just breathe." He drove me to his place because I could not tell him where my spare key was, and because Maya still had access to my apartment. I remember his porch light. His dog barking once, then deciding I was too pathetic to be a threat. I remember Owen helping me into a clean shirt that smelled like laundry detergent and sawdust. Then nothing. Just dark. And for the first time all night, nobody asking me to apologize for bleeding. I woke up in a bed that was not mine. The first thing I felt was pain. Not emotional pain. That came second. The first was the blunt physical punishment of whiskey, crying, and sleeping with my mouth open. I was wearing a faded gray shirt that said Sinclair Grounds and Stone across the chest. There was a glass of water on the nightstand. Aspirin. 2 pieces of toast on a plate. A trash can beside the bed, positioned with the kind of practical mercy that told me someone had expected the worst and prepared for it without making a production out of being kind. Then I saw Owen. He was asleep on the floor beside the bed, one arm over his face, a blanket half off his shoulder. Not in the bed. Not on the couch downstairs. On the floor where he could hear if I got sick again. My throat tightened before I understood why. Then I looked at my hand. There was a ring on my finger. Heavy silver. Too large. Owen's grandmother's class ring. The one he always wore on his pinky. I sat up too fast and groaned. Owen woke immediately. You need to throw up again? I held up my hand. Why am I wearing your ring? He blinked, then looked embarrassed. You wouldn't stop trying to call Maya, he said. I gave you that so you'd have something else to hold. I stared at the ring. You gave me your grandmother's ring because I was drunk dialing my cheating girlfriend? You called it prettier than anything she ever gave you. I closed my eyes. That sounds humiliating. Owen's voice was quiet. It was honest. Before I could answer, someone knocked lightly on the doorframe. A woman stood there holding 2 mugs of coffee and wearing an oversized hoodie that said Sinclair Grounds and Stone on the back. You alive? She asked me. Owen rubbed both hands over his face. Clara. What? She said. It's a fair question. That was Owen's younger sister. Clara Sinclair. 28, blunt, warm in a way that did not ask permission first. She handed me coffee and looked at the ring on my finger. Oh, good. You still have it. I looked between them. You knew about this? You announced it to the entire kitchen at 3 in the morning, Clara said. You held it up like you'd found buried treasure and told my brother it was the nicest thing anyone had given you in 2 years. Owen looked like he wanted the floor to open. I stared into the coffee. Please tell me that's the worst thing I did. You cried into a piece of toast, Clara said. But emotionally, I understood the journey. Despite everything, I laughed. It hurt my head. Then Clara's expression softened. For the record, she said, Owen called me before he brought you here. He said you were drunk, wrecked, and he didn't want you waking up alone in his house with no context. Owen looked down. Clara kept going. He slept on the floor all night. I was in the guest room. I checked on you every hour. The room went quiet. Not awkward. Just full. I looked at Owen then. Really looked. He had every chance to make my worst night about him. He had made it safe instead. I thought that was the end of the explanation. It was not. Clara leaned against the doorframe, both hands around her coffee mug, and looked at Owen with the expression of a sister who had run out of patience 2 years ago. He knew, she said. Owen closed his eyes. Clara. No, she said. He needs to know that part too. My stomach tightened. Knew what? Clara looked at me. That Maya and Sloane were not just roommates. The room changed temperature. Owen sat up straighter on the floor. I didn't know for sure, he said. But you suspected. He nodded once. For how long? He looked at his hands. At least 6 months. 6 months. I felt the words hit somewhere behind my ribs. Not anger, exactly. Something closer to grief arriving late. Owen's voice was rough. I heard things, saw things. The way Sloane touched her, the way Maya looked at her when she thought nobody was watching. Why didn't you tell me? He swallowed. Because every time I got close, Maya had already told you I wanted you. If I said anything, it would have sounded like proof. Clara's voice softened. He was afraid you'd lose the only safe person you had because Maya taught you to distrust him first. My phone rang while Clara was still in the doorway. Maya. Her name on the screen did something strange to my body. Not longing. Not even pain, exactly. Reflex. Like part of me had been trained to answer before I remembered I was allowed not to. Owen looked at the phone, then at me. You don't have to pick up. I did not. It went to voicemail. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed again. New message. I stared at it until Clara reached over and took the phone gently from my hand. Speaker, she asked. I nodded. Maya's voice filled Owen's bedroom. Sharp. Tired. Annoyed, like I had inconvenienced her by catching her. Ethan, you seriously embarrassed me last night. That was my biggest show, and you made it about your insecurity. Owen's jaw tightened. Maya kept going. Sloane is really upset. You invaded our space, and she doesn't feel safe around you now. Our space. Not the green room. Not backstage. Our space. I looked down at Owen's grandmother's ring on my finger and felt something in me go quiet. If you apologize to both of us, Maya said, and accept that Sloane is part of my life, maybe we can work through this. But I need you to stop acting like I did something to you. The message ended. No apology. No panic. No love. Just terms. Like she was offering me a position beneath them and expecting me to be grateful. Clara said, absolutely not. Owen said nothing. He did not have to. For the first time, I heard Maya without trying to translate cruelty into stress. And it sounded exactly like the truth. I asked Clara for my phone back. Owen looked at me carefully. You don't have to do this right now, he said. I know. That was why I did it. Not because I was clear-headed in some dramatic, cinematic way. I still had a hangover. My mouth tasted like whiskey and toast. My heart felt like it had been dragged behind a car. But for the first time in 2 years, I could hear myself think without Maya's voice stepping in to correct the conclusion. I called her. She picked up on the first ring. Oh, thank God, she said immediately. I knew you'd calm down. That almost made me laugh. Not because it was funny. Because even now, she thought my clarity was temporary and her control was permanent. Maya, I said, we're done. Silence. Then her voice sharpened. Excuse me. You and Sloane can have whatever this is. I'm not going to be the boyfriend standing outside your life waiting for whatever attention is left over. You're overreacting. No, I said. I'm reacting exactly enough. She started talking faster then. About how Sloane needed her. About how I had always been jealous. About how I had agreed to understand their dynamic. I agreed to trust you, I said. You used that to lie to me. She said my name like a warning. I hung up before she finished the sentence. For a second, nobody moved. Then Clara picked up a plate of pancakes from the dresser like she had been waiting for the cue. "Congratulations," she said. "These are freedom pancakes." And somehow, for the first time since the green room door opened, I smiled. I still had a key to Maya's apartment. She still had one to mine. That felt dangerous now. Not physically. Worse. Emotionally messy. Owen offered to drive me over so I would not have to face her alone. Clara said she would go to my apartment in case Maya showed up there first. She seems like the kind of woman who thinks closure means one more chance to perform, Clara said. I borrowed one of Owen's clean shirts because mine still smelled like tequila and collapse. Then we drove to Maya's. The whole ride, I kept turning Owen's ring around my finger. Too loose. Too heavy. Still there. Sloane answered the door wearing Maya's oversized band shirt and nothing else I could see. She leaned against the frame like she had won something. "Maya's not here." "I'm here for my things," I said. Sloane smiled. "She already dropped them at your place. Figured you'd come crawling back once you calmed down." I looked at her. What exactly would I be crawling back to? Her smile sharpened. Someone who knows how to have fun. Owen stepped closer beside me. "We're leaving." Sloane called after us down the hallway. "She's better off without someone so boring." I did not turn around. At my apartment, 3 black trash bags sat outside my door. Clara was already there, dragging one inside with the face of someone restraining herself from committing a misdemeanor. My clothes were stuffed and loose. Books bent. Toiletries leaking through the plastic. 2 years of my life dumped on concrete like garbage. I stood there looking at it. And for the first time, I did not feel heartbroken. I felt free enough to be disgusted. We carried the trash bags into my living room and cut them open on the floor. That felt appropriate. Not respectful, but accurate. My shirts were wrinkled into tight knots. A framed photo from our first summer had cracked glass across Maya's face. My books had bent spines and folded pages, like even the things I cared about had annoyed her on the way out. I found the gifts she had given me in 2 years. A cheap watch from a mall kiosk for my birthday. A mug with a joke on it that had never been funny. A keychain from a bar her band played once, the logo half scratched off. That was it. 2 years, and I could hold the proof of her generosity in one hand. Clara took the mug from me without asking and dropped it into the kitchen trash. "You do not need disappointment with a handle," she said. I laughed. Not hard. Not happily. But enough. Owen was leaning against the wall, arms folded, watching me with the kind of concern that did not try to own the room. Then his eyes dropped to my hand. "You're still wearing it," he said. I looked down. His grandmother's ring. Heavy silver. Too big. Warm now from my skin. "I can give it back," I said. Owen shook his head. "Keep it as long as you want. It's important to you. So are you." The room went quiet after that. Not uncomfortable. Just honest in a way I was not ready to touch yet. I turned the ring once around my finger and looked at the wreckage on my floor. For 2 years, I had begged Maya for scraps. Owen had given me something real before I even knew how to ask. That evening, Miles from work called me. Miles was the kind of coworker who never asked personal questions unless he already knew the answer was bad. "I heard something happened at Maya's show," he said. I looked at the trash bag still folded by my door. Yeah. You okay? I almost said yes. Habit. Then I stopped. No, I said, but I think I'm getting there. He invited me over for dinner with a few people from the office. Don't sit alone tonight, he said. That's how bad decisions start texting back. I asked if Owen could come. Miles said, the guy who actually shows up? Absolutely. By 7, Owen and I were at Miles's apartment with pizza boxes, beer, Theo from IT, Ryan from claims, and Ben from HR spread around the living room like a support group nobody wanted to name out loud. I told them the short version. The green room. Sloane. The voicemail. The trash bags. For a second after I finished, nobody spoke. Then Theo said, I hated her. Ben nodded. Professionally, I try not to call people manipulative. Personally, she was textbook. Ryan leaned back against the couch. She skipped your promotion dinner because her roommate got a parking ticket. Man, we all noticed. That embarrassed me more than it should have. Not because they were cruel. Because they had seen what I had spent 2 years explaining away. Miles pointed his beer bottle toward Owen. And this one picked you up from the airport, right? Owen shifted beside me. Once. Twice, I said. The room went quiet in that specific way men get when they are trying not to grin too obviously. Theo looked between us. So are you too. No, I said. No, Owen said at the same time. Too fast. Ben laughed into his beer. Sure, he said. Completely normal synchronized denial. For the first time in days, the room did not feel like it was closing around me. It felt like people had opened a window. The next week, Maya kept texting. Long paragraphs. Voice memos. Screenshots of comments from people I barely knew, all presented like evidence that I had damaged her life by reacting to what she did. She said the band was falling apart because venue owners had heard a distorted version of what happened backstage. She said Sloane could barely leave the apartment because people were judging her. She said I needed to understand how hard this had been on both of them. Both of them. That was the part that made me set the phone down and walk away the first few times. Not because I wanted to answer. Because I did not trust what my hands might do if I kept reading. Owen never told me what to do. He would just sit nearby with coffee or a plate of food and make sure I ate something before making any decisions. 3 days later, Maya sent the message that finally ended whatever emotional reflex she still had left in me. If you post a public apology saying you misunderstood my friendship with Sloane, we might be able to fix this. I read it twice. Then I handed the phone to Owen. His face went red in a way I had never seen before. She wants you to apologize for catching her? I nodded. And if you humiliate yourself publicly, she might take you back? Hearing it said out loud made something inside me harden. Not cruel. Clear. I took my phone back, opened Maya's contact, and blocked her number. Owen watched quietly. When it was done, he smiled. Not big. Just enough. Good, he said. And for the first time, I believed that word could belong to me again. The next afternoon, Owen called and asked if I wanted to see his office. It's not impressive, he said. Which meant it was probably exactly the kind of place I needed to see. Sinclair Grounds and Stone sat near the edge of town in a low brick building with 3 work trucks parked outside and pallets of stone stacked along the fence. Inside, it smelled like coffee, printer paper, soil, and cut lumber. There were site plans pinned to the walls. Invoices clipped to boards. Boots by the door. A whiteboard covered in job names, weather notes, and measurements only Owen seemed able to read. His business partner, Grant, shook my hand with both of his. Grant's wife, Marina, handled the books from a desk by the window and hugged me like she had been waiting 2 years for permission. "So you're Ethan," she said. I looked at Owen. He was suddenly very interested in a stack of blueprints. Marina smiled. "He talks about you." "Marina," Owen warned. "What? I'm being polite." Grant laughed and took Owen outside to look at a patio design. Marina waited until the door closed. Then she set a mug of coffee in front of me and sat down across the break room table. "I'm going to tell you something because life is too short and Owen is too noble for his own good." My stomach tightened. "He's been in love with you since Maya introduced you," she said. I stared at her. The room went quiet except for trucks backing up somewhere outside. "He never said anything because you were with her," Marina continued. "He refused to be the guy who broke something to get what he wanted." I looked through the window. Owen was standing beside Grant, one hand on his hip, nodding at a blueprint. "Steady. Real. Right there." "He just kept showing up," Marina said softly, "and hoped one day you'd notice who was already standing in front of you." After Marina told me, I started seeing things I should have seen 2 years earlier. Not because Owen changed. That was the part that embarrassed me. He had been consistent the whole time. I was the one who had been looking past him towards someone who kept making me beg for scraps. Owen brought me coffee exactly the way I liked it. 2 sugars. No flavored syrup. Light ice if it was cold brew, because I had complained once that too much ice made it taste like regret. He remembered client names from stories I barely remembered telling him. He asked about my quarterly presentation 3 days before it happened, then texted me afterward with, "How did the hospital account go?" Maya had never remembered what my actual job title was. Owen remembered the names of accounts I hated. It was not dramatic. That was what made it different. There were no big speeches. No love bombing. No sudden performance of devotion because he thought he might lose me. Just steady attention. The kind that had been there long before I was available to receive it. A few days later, we were sitting at a coffee shop near my office while he worked on a patio estimate and I pretended to review a policy file. I looked up and caught him frowning at his laptop, pencil behind one ear, lips moving silently as he checked measurements. He glanced over. "What?" "Nothing," I said. He smiled. And something warm moved through my chest. Not fireworks. Not panic. Something quieter. Like coming inside after standing in the cold too long and realizing the door had been open the whole time. 2 weeks after I left Maya, I ran into Jace at the grocery store. He played guitar in her band. Tall guy. Quiet. The kind of person you forget is in the room until he says something that proves he has been paying attention the whole time. He stopped his cart near the frozen vegetables and looked at me like he was trying to decide how much truth I could carry in public. "Hey," he said, "I'm sorry about what happened." I almost laughed. That phrase had started to sound like weather. "What did you hear?" Jace looked down at his cart. That she and Sloane were going on for a while. Most of us knew something was off. My hand tightened around the basket handle. "You knew?" "Not enough to prove," he said quickly. "Enough to feel sick about it." Then he told me the part that made my stomach go cold. Maya was telling people I had cheated on her with Owen. That I had been emotionally involved for months. That she and Sloane had only gotten close because I had already abandoned her. There it was. The rewrite. I went home, sat on my couch, and typed one sentence. Maya and I broke up because she was unfaithful. I'm moving forward with my life. No essay. No screenshots. No performance. Just the truth, standing up straight. Within an hour, 3 people messaged me. One had seen Maya and Sloane kissing at a party 6 months earlier. One had seen them leaving a hotel together over the summer. One said Maya introduced Sloane as her girlfriend at a birthday dinner while I was out of town for work. I saved every message. Not because I wanted war. Because I was done letting liars hold the pen. A month after I left Maya, Owen asked me to dinner. Nothing dramatic, he said. Which meant it was absolutely dramatic. He picked an Italian place downtown with low lights, brick walls, and tables close enough that people had to speak carefully if they wanted anything private to stay private. Owen arrived 7 minutes early. Of course he did. He kept folding and unfolding his napkin while we looked at the menu. I finally set mine down. You're nervous. He exhaled through his nose. Marina talked to you. She did. He looked mortified. I told her not to. I'm glad she did. That made him look up. The waiter came by, and Owen waved him off without taking his eyes from mine. I never wanted to be that guy, he said. The one waiting for someone's relationship to fail. You weren't. I wanted you, he said quietly. That's not the same as being innocent. The honesty of that hit me harder than any perfect answer would have. He did not dress it up. He did not make himself a hero. I stayed because I couldn't stand not being in your life, he said, and I hated watching her make you smaller. I looked down at my hand. His grandmother's ring was still there. Too loose. Still mine somehow. You were the best part of my life for 2 years, I said. I was just too busy trying to earn love from someone who spent it somewhere else. Owen reached across the table. Slowly. Giving me time to pull away. I didn't. I took his hand. And for the first time in a long time, choosing someone did not feel like begging to be chosen back. Owen and I started dating for real after that. Slowly at first. Not because either of us was unsure. Because after Maya, I needed to learn the difference between peace and boredom. With Maya, everything had been urgent. A crisis. A rehearsal. Sloane needed her. The band needed her. I needed to stop overreacting. With Owen, 7 meant 7. Dinner meant dinner. If he had to cancel, he told me before I was already dressed and waiting. If I mentioned a hard meeting on Tuesday, he asked about it Tuesday night. When I had a major presentation at work, flowers showed up at my desk with a card that said, "You've got this." No performance. No apology hidden inside a gift. Just attention. My friends loved him immediately. Miles said he had called it the night Owen walked into his apartment and looked at me like the rest of the room was background noise. My mother met him at Sunday dinner and pulled me into the kitchen afterward. "That one sees you," she said. I did not know how badly I had needed someone else to say it. 3 months after Maya, Owen and I rented a cabin in the mountains for a weekend. No band schedule. No roommate crisis. No apology demanded from me for wanting time. Just rain on the roof, bad cell service, and Owen burning pancakes the first morning because he got distracted kissing me against the counter. That night, we were on his couch after driving home, half watching a movie neither of us could remember later. He took my hand. His grandmother's ring was still there. Loose enough that I wore it on my middle finger now. He turned at once, gently. I want to take this to a jeweler, he said. I smiled. It's your ring. It was, he said. Then he looked at me, nervous in that honest Owen way, and I understood he was not talking about a class ring anymore. I know it's fast, he said, but I've loved you for 2 years already. My heart hit once hard, then settled. That was the difference. Real love did not feel like panic. It felt like coming home to a door someone had kept unlocked for you. Yes, I said, before he could finish asking. And Owen smiled like the whole world had finally exhaled.